I wanted to jump on here and share how I felt blessed today in a big way. And it's not that, anything happened that was like some big windfall or anything like that. It's that it was a very significant day for me. This date, I'm coming to you on Wednesday, October 16th. And I remember this date back in 1995. I remember what I was doing. I was writing my book on relationships, a nonfiction book on relationships between Black men and women. And a close friend of mine at the time and I were discussing our thoughts about the Million Man March. And then um, that date has just become significant for me in different ways with a things that have transpired on that date. So I didn't know how I was going to feel when I woke up this morning because it's become a date that separate from almost 30 years ago is important to me. And so I woke up and I felt very connected to God. I felt blessed and in a really good space. And then, I worked and work was work, but I had a really, really big blessing today as a highlight at the end of the day. And that was to be a guest on the podcast of my dear friend, Jania Hale. And her podcast is Create a Magical Day. She is all about joy. Joy is her jam. And it's so wonderful because her space opens up a door that lets people, listeners, her audience know and understand what is important to you. What's your jam? What is your passion? What is your journey? What is your calling? Is it like what makes you happy and lifts you up? Is that for me, one of the things that lifts me up is peace and connection to God. For someone else, it could be kindness, extending kindnesses, being of service. For someone else, it could be something completely different from that. So her podcast, although she is Joyful Jania and host of Create a Magical Day podcast, she is about opening up this door and letting people walk in. And she is so astute in sharing and imparting and asking, what is it about you that drives you and makes you authentically you? So it was a very fruitful conversation for me. I felt like is one of two people I would say who really very well connects the dots around who I am. Most people in my life, they see me as, this or that and or two or three things, but she kind of connected all of the dots in our conversation. And I just thought that was awesome and such a blessing. And it connects with this day here because I've realized in reflecting on why this day has been significant for me. It's funny because growing up, fall was absolutely not my favorite season. And it's not my favorite season now. I like it more than winter, but I don't like it more than summer. Okay. But this date has brought up reflections and awareness and an insight into, and it's not new for me, but I think I'm sitting in it at the moment of how we can be on our own path and how that path and focus just doesn't vibe with another path and focus. And that could be a friend or a family member or a love interest. It just may not jam. And what I have found as I've matured is that I like to let people be who they are. I like to try to let people be who they are. And my family will be like, really? Because I can often like argue with you. I mean, that's what we do. We argue together. And I'm not always perfect, but in general, I have come to learn to let people be who they are. For one thing, it's giving them grace and it's allowing them to have their own journey. And I have to say that the passing of my first brother helped me to get to that place, even before he passed, recognizing he has his own life and he gets to his journey is his journey. He gets to have his journey as we all do. I get to have my journey in life. You get to have your journey in life. So, what I am honing in on is how my nature, in terms of the deepest part of me, of, well, let me see and learn what a thing is about. And as I'm doing that, and that doesn't mean I'm not active over here and engaging, but the deeper part of me is I'm not trying to change a person. That's the thing. I'm not trying to change a person. I'm not, and that really, really resonates for me within my family because it is a effort that I used to have, and I had to come to learn to have grace and not to say emotions don't come up, and for me, tears, because I'm a crier, but to the deeper part of me to give the grace and to let people be who they are. But as that's going on, I think for me is that I'm thinking I'm going to have an opportunity to figure it out and to communicate and say, come to some kind of conversation about the thing that has transpired as whereas I let something unfold and intentionally just watching it unfold and letting people be who they are, and then thinking I'm going to have an opportunity to address that and we can figure that out in family and friends. And the lesson for me and the understanding for me is that I don't always get to that place of figuring it out. I don't always get there. I don't always get there. And in fact, if I get there, mm, it's probably with somebody who's really close to me already. And we've already been through the ups and the downs. And I'm talking about friendships, right now. I'm talking about friendships. Sometimes I think about my friends and I'm so grateful for the space that we're in. I'm so grateful for the closeness. And the truth is, we may have been through hills and valleys. And I'm so grateful that we stuck that out. I'm so grateful. And I'm thinking about some girlfriends that I have, just so grateful that we both had the desire to stick it out, from this friend to that friend to that friend. So these are some meanings gleaned for me. I'm so glad and grateful for the blessings of today. And I want to keep the forward motion into tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And I think the bottom line is, as we are being who we are truly, our authentic selves, and if we have setbacks in who we are called on to keep moving forward. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Because at some point on the other side, there is light. There is light. There is light. So let's start healing.